working with the team. And so, we were creating educational videos. I never picked up a camera until I moved to Georgia and started working at Salon 124 Group. And he was like, "Hey, can we make a channel?" And I was like, "Yeah, great." Thinking that I was going to direct it like I was used to it with corporate money. And he was, "No, you're the one who's going to shoot it." And that evolved. And so just because I had friends that were also speakers in the industry, I started shooting. Jay was really the first person I'd ever said to him, like, "Hey man, you really need video, and I kind of want to try this." And so I made him this series of 27 videos that were pretty good, even looking back at them. And that was the start of that. I started, working more with speakers. And then over time, I learned that you can't just make video. You have to make video that makes people do stuff. And that's where this process came from. And so now I only work with public speakers. I won't do any other type of video at all. And the biggest...
I'm sorry, can you hang on just 1 second?
Yeah, go do it.
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, go do it.
Sorry, my partner was here taking my dog home.
Oh, no worries at all. So, so with that said, the conversations that we were constantly having were, I realized more and more and more that most of us medium-sized, smaller to mid-size consultants, really struggle with messaging. And so, it sounds like you're in development, and I just thought this conversation would be helpful. So I'm just going to screen share this presentation, and we'll just, have a quick chat about it. And I'd happily visit this as much or as little as you'd like over time, because the more times I take people through this, the better it seems to revise. And so I call this core 4 planning, because what I realize is most people are stringing their messages out too broadly, and especially because people like in your shoes or in other people's shoes that own a strong business, have done some teaching, have gone to a lot of classes themselves. Inevitably, when they start to get into like teaching or sharing or consulting, there's so many different hats that you've worn that oftentimes there's this like, what do I actually focus on? People come to us for this problem. Yeah, I can help you with that. Yeah, I can help you with this. Yeah, I can help you with that. And you kind of said it the other day when you were talking about the difference between that higher level broad, like leadership message, versus you kind of understanding already that you're really the systems guy. This is the nuts and bolts. This is how you put it into place. So Core 4 evolved over 7 years. The method will help you refine your core message and create whatever it is, whether it's months of on-brand content, which is what I help people do, or just your content ideas quickly. And so I use this quote that says, "Focus is more important than intelligence in this situation." And there's 4 areas that consultants oftentimes miss focusing on. And so number 1 is the core problems of your target client. So we'll talk a little bit about What are the core, like, what are problems that you can solve that are real difference makers inside of a business for somebody? The second one is core solutions that you offer. People are often confused about the difference between offering encouragement and motivation and then a real answer. You and I kind of touched on that the other day. Core questions that you're the best person to answer. So I often say to people, like, what questions do you want to be caught in the action of answering? Because you can answer a lot of questions, but like, what are going to be the most valuable for you? And then the fourth thing is like helping people develop a core offering. And for a newer consultant, this should be really helpful. So when I'm setting people up for video, the first place we focus on is the client and the core problems that they're coming to you with. And so it says every client has a core problem that they need to solve. Coaches and consultants often teach on subjects that they love teaching on, but not always on what the client's core needs are. I call this owner-focused service, meaning this is what I love to do, so that's what I do. We want to turn our focus towards the client and client-focused service and get clear on, does my offering solve one or more core problems that make a measurable difference in their business or in their life? Let's say if you were a life coach. And so, since we're on a conversation here, this list says, below, create a list of 3 to 5 of the top core problems that your clients want to solve. So oftentimes the first part of the discussion is, well, always it's in your mind or your opinion, what are those like 3 to 5 top difference making problems that your clients have that they want solutions for?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah, I mean, so if you were going to start with like 1 or 2, what comes to
Well, this
mind?
is, here's the difficulty that I have. It's like if we talk about if I'm asking clients their top 3 to 5 core problems, the
And when I
problems,
say client, I mean coaching client here.
correct.
Yeah.
The clients the problems that are keeping them up at night. This is I mean, that's my favorite question. Like
Yeah.
what is keeping you up at night? It's number one, they're going to say money. It's
Yeah.
about not making profit. I talk to owners on a daily basis that are either making, less than 5% profit or no profit, or haven't even gotten a paycheck in a month themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And, ending up at the end of the month and they're panicked about how do I make the next payroll or rent. So, but that's the symptom problem,
That's a symptom.
like that's
That's
the
exactly right.
result.
That's exactly right. Okay, so
The
keep it coming.
problem that they have is, I'm sorry.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, the problem that they're having is, they haven't created a culture that is revenue driven, that is about revenue. We've become so good at embracing the idea or the concept that we're great people and we want to make people's day and we want to help people, and and that's all incredible, but at the end of the day, we are a for-profit business that requires money to do a cash flow, and we haven't solved that. Like we haven't focused on what it requires to achieve that.
Yeah.
And when we start looking at it, it's about having strong systems, and it's about coaching on a daily basis to the idea that, we have to make a living and create a career based environment. And that's what we're not good at.
Yeah. So I'm going to reword this in my own words. It's like, whatever you think your problem is, like whatever's keeping you up at night, it's not your actual problem. You know, and you're exactly right. The, you know, no profit, less than 5%, no paycheck. These are symptoms of problems. The core problem you solve, and right next to this 3 to 5 core problems, it says why are they having this problem, which is what you just explained. And so when we can identify the top core problems that we solve, we can start to talk about them on a regular basis in a way that connects with the who my target client is. So, you know, you might have to use things like, are you not taking home a paycheck? Are you profiting less than 5%? Do you have no, you know, or less? Do you have no profit at all? These are challenges that are being caused by something that I call, or by not having systems that. And so when we start to think about that, like, so those are three of the, and that's a core problem. Like, you know, no profit. It's a core problem. It's just that the solution is probably going to be different than what you thought it was going to be.
Right.
And so those are all great pain points. The other part is, you know, why am I having this problem? So, like, let's just take the, you know, let's take that no profit for a second. And you said it's because we haven't set up revenue generating systems yet. Tell me more about that.
Well, I would say for the profit, for the lack of profit problem, the reason that we're having this problem is more about having concise, um, strictly adhered to systems. That's about the strength of your systems. This is about, you know, making sure that we understand what a P&L is and how it works, and how we can attack, you know, non-fixed expenses. That's a system solution for the profit problem. For the not having enough cash flow, for not cash flowing a business, that's about revenue. This, you know, why they're having that problem is because they haven't created a culture that is revenue driven. You know,
Say that.
we
What was the problem there again? Tell me that core problem again.
On the second,
the second thing you just said.
Not cash flowing our business. Profit is the secondary, because, you know, we have to cash flow. First, we have to make sure that we can land at zero every month, at least, you know, pay all our bills, make our payroll, make our taxes. So first we have to cash flow. Second, we want to make profit, so that we're in this for a reason.
Sorry, just give me a second.
No worries. I've talked to owners that are mortgaging their homes, taking a second mortgage so that they can pay rent and payroll. You know, it's like, this is about, no, you know, the business needs to fund itself and needs to cash flow. And if you don't understand that the benchmarks of where you know, what your business should be doing and where expenses should land versus revenue, well, there's the solution. Like, that's the first thing we have to do.
So what's one of the most common questions you get asked so far when you're working with a salon, or even when you're out in the world talking to people about this topic? When they come to you, what's the first question they ask you?
How do I make money?
What's another one?
And they think the answer lies in bringing in more revenue, and it may be, but first we have to look at the relationship between your expenses and your revenue, because no matter what your revenue is, the expenses have to, you know, match how much you're bringing in. I don't try to make enough money to make payroll. I make sure that payroll reflects how much money we're bringing in.
Mhm. So let me ask you a question. What's another, what would you say the second? So that's the top. Give me another question that people come to you for.
So first it's about paying bills. Second, it's about profit. And next it's about keeping their people. The staff retention is a huge issue in today's climate, salon climate, because the with the advent of booth rental and people that have been sold this idea that they can do it on their own and make a ton more money.
Mm-hmm.
It's we have to, first of all, transparency is lacking.
Mm-hmm.
We tried, owners that I've talked to don't like, they don't address it. I address it head on. Let's talk about booth rental versus commission. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can probably make a.
Would you say that that's the why? Let me ask you, why are they having the keeping people problem? If you were to answer that in one sentence.
Well, the quote about people don't leave a company, they leave their
Leadership.
leadership, they leave their owner, is so accurate.
Yep.
You know, if we're operating a business that, and everyone's not clear about what the business purpose is and what our core values are, if we haven't aligned our team in hiring, recruiting, in recruiting and then hiring and then training our people toward that purpose and those values, it's never going to be smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's not being, finding people that share our values and vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's, it can be an accident. Like, you might land, you might
Yeah. Yeah.
go that
It's
way
on
for a while,
purpose.
but it's certainly not sustainable.
Yeah. 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 I love that. Um, and so if you were to, inside of that leadership umbrella, if you could name three categories that so we were talking about recruiting, hiring, culture, keeping people happy and working inside of your environment, being a part of the team. What would you say that if there were three core spokes of that wheel? What are the core spokes of that leadership wheel? I'm just calling it a leadership wheel, but it,
Yeah.
arbitrarily, like what falls under the leadership umbrella?
um, Number one, the career path.
Okay.
Number two, I think it's having a trust in their leadership, that someone's got their back and someone is, teaching them how to reach their hopes and dreams. And I guess it's just the third, I guess I would just say, is being successful, like seeing that it's possible, seeing other people that are at it, that are achieving, what they want to achieve, like being in an environment that celebrates success. And
Cool. So you just kind of like identified your top three as number one, the cash flow problem, which I think is a great, name for a course, or the profit problem, which I also think is a great name for, maybe it already is the name of a course. I don't know. Um, and that, the cash flow problem is about getting there, being sustainable. The profit problem is about, um, you know, generating enough revenue that there's something left over so the business can sustain. And it's the opposite of where you're at. These people are, first of all, they probably don't even know what it means to cash flow. Secondly, they don't even really know what it means to profit. Um, and of course, if you don't have a profitable environment, like, keeping people is going to be a mess. If people can't, you said it earlier, if people can't make money in your environment, um, that's a big deal. So the idea of this activity, I mean, you have the worksheet to take with you, is to really create and identify your list of core problems that you just spouted off pretty clearly. And then, why are they having this problem? And the greater that a speaker can identify a problem like that you've been sitting thinking about, and then say out loud, and by the way, this is why you're having the problem. Um, the bet like you're not profiting because you don't have systems, and you're not keeping people because you don't have leadership, or you haven't created a career path for people. Whether that's training processes or giving them something to grow up towards. They don't trust you, because things flip-flop all the time. Nothing ever gets done. They're not an environment, like, whatever those talking points are going to be for you. That's what's the problem, and why do they have this problem? And so that's the
Chris, I've
first
got
act.
I've got two things to say. I don't know where it fits,
Please do.
but two things that came to mind. I spoke with an owner yesterday whose problem is, I can't get my young staff to sell retail because they're not excited about, and I hear this so much. They're not excited about Aveda. Aveda is perceived now as this grandma company, this grandma brand, because it's not young and new, and it's not a TikTok brand,
Isn't it
right?
funny that every product line goes through this exact thing?
Exactly. And she said, how do I get them excited about selling Aveda? So that was her problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I don't. You have to have the type of culture that they understand that this is what we sell. This is our job, and I don't care if you're not excited about a 22-year-old young new salesman, and he says, Mercedes seems like an old guy's car. Like, I'm not excited about selling Mercedes. Well, then you're fired. If I don't care what you like, if we're creating a path for young people to create a career, like, they chose to apply at my business, and we're an Aveda salon. I don't care what brand we are, but you came to that brand, to ask to be employed there, and here are the prerequisites. So I don't know. So that was one topic that I thought was just so fascinating. We think it's Aveda's fault. It's not. This is not an Aveda problem. It's just like it's not a Redken problem or a Bumble problem. This is your problem in terms of you didn't do a great job at your new hire orientation. I would challenge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It
No, you
starts
never. Yeah,
there.
you didn't set this agreement up from the start that
Exactly.
this is who we are. This is what we're here doing. Are you joining us or not?
Yeah.
And
kind of in line with that, I feel like, especially since COVID, I feel like we've been sold this bill of goods. That quote about find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, work is not your passion.
Yeah.
Like, maybe there are a handful of people that they're identified by their job. Maybe the guy building wells in Africa for dying people, like that might be, but beyond that, your job is a means to enjoy your passion.
Uh-huh.
If we look back at our parents or our grandparents, depending on your age group, in the 50s, they had a one-person income that funded buying a good house, having a new car every 4 or 5 years, taking their family on a vacation. Uh, Partner number two could stay at home and take care of the kids. Everybody was well fed. We had a nice little house in a great neighborhood. And we got to be off on the weekends and go to baseball games and have parties. Like their passion was not, putting the bolts on at the factory, on a piece of machinery that was their job. That was
Uh-huh.
not their passion, but it
Yeah.
certainly was an incredible venue so that they could, fund their passion.
Yeah. Yeah. 1,000%. I mean, this is funding your life. And, this, I just said, I put the word onboarding here because it was like, what are we bringing people into? Do we have processes and systems for that? And this whole thing, to me, this revolves around systems. It's almost like what's broken, that we need to fit. These problems, like you said, are really the symptoms. Let's talk about what's really broken,
Yeah.
and it's our systems around the fact that we're in business to be in business. And so these are all, I think we could still refine that more and like put language around it, but you can take this back and worksheet it. The second part about this is, in every business, there are people who struggle and people rise to the top. One of the key difference makers is how well you solve the core problem of your target client. So people are going to be coming to you for advice. And oftentimes, like you just said, it's going to be all over the place. And what I've found, is building language that connects with them right away around, number one, I get your problem. Your problem is you don't have any money. You can't seem to keep people. You can't seem to recruit people. And it looks like your problem is that these kids out of school suck. And in reality, like, you haven't built anything for them to want to come to. And then you haven't given them any systems and processes that they could be successful. So, when people start to hear, and I don't know if that connects for you, but when people start to hear what connects for them. So an example for me is working with speakers all the time. I realized that they didn't, what I wanted to do was I wanted to make videos for them. And then I wanted to give them the videos and like be done with it. Or I wanted to shoot the video and then give them the videos for them to edit. And what I found out was they didn't want to do any of it. So what I learned was, what I thought their core problem was, or was they would come to me and say, how do you make more content? I thought they wanted to know how to make more. They didn't want to know how to make more. They wanted somebody to do it for them. And I didn't know that. So I was hearing this question, and that's why we go back here. It's like, okay, what are the top 3 to 5, problems that they want solutions for? I was hearing this question of how do I make more videos? And I wasn't getting, honestly, Tim, like, oh, they want me to make videos for them. So now I'm going to go back to my little script here. One of the key difference makers is how well you solve the core problem of your target client. So my question to you, or any coach in the long term, is going to be, when they come to you with this question, are they looking for you to A, teach you how to solve it, B, solve it for them? Some people are looking for that, right? C, they just want they don't want coaching. They want access to a course. Sometimes they just want, like if you told me about profit, and you could do 6 weeks of coaching for me, or I put it all in a video course that you can literally watch in one weekend. Many people are going to choose coaching with you, and many people are going to choose the watch in one weekend. So how well we solve their problem, the core problem of the target client. So it says in general, business solutions today are one YouTube search away, but in every business, there is still a core set of problems that are vital to solve. These are the problems that when you solve them, the business functions measurably better. So I'm going to go back to that first page for just a quick second. Like when I solve the cash flow problem, my business runs measurably better. The profit problem, measurably better. That's how I know if something's a core problem. The recruiting problem and keeping people problem. Uh, 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 Recruiting, measurably better. Can't sell, measurably better. So those are the things that you want to start to talk about in public. If uh, if you're talking directly to salon owners. So then it says make a list below. Uh, let's see. Yeah, these are core problems that when solved, the business functions measurably better. In the list below, you'll get clarity on the core challenges that you solve. Make sure, by the way, these are problems that you want to solve. A lot of people come when I start talking to them, they're like, people are asking for this and they're asking for that. And I sometimes say to them, like, is this the thing you want to solve? Like, some owners will say, well, people come to me for haircutting all the time because I'm a great hair cutter. I'm like, is that the problem you want to solve, or do you want to train somebody else to solve that problem in your business? So, so now it would be creating a list of core problems that you want to solve for your target client.
Okay.
So, I mean, do you have an example of
Well,
anything?
how is it like the ones before? I mean, aren't these they're basically the same thing. I mean, I'm helping them,
Yeah.
with that cash flow issue, which is number one. How do we help them solve it? This is about, well, let me back up. First of all, to your point about, some want live and some want to do it on their own. In my workshop on Monday, I had 10 people that joined me live. And then I had another like 14 people that just want the recording.
Yeah.
Post. Like they were emailing me Tuesday, when do I get the recording? And, I hadn't even looked at it by that time, and they just want to do that on their own. And I can guarantee that the 10 that join me live will have a better result, because it was interactive. And so anyway, so with the cash flow issue, this is truly about implementing every system, that I have on operational. The older I get, the more I love a checklist. Like, give me a checklist for my Monday morning exercise, give me a checklist for Friday. There's no possible way, until you've done it for years on end, that you're going to remember everything that needs to be done before Tuesday morning. You need some kind of tracking or checklist, right?
Yeah. So you're right. The page 1 and page 2 should match up pretty closely, right? We identified these core questions that they're coming to us with, these core problems that they're having. And now we go, okay, list the top 3 or 5 that you want to solve. Sometimes you only need to solve, like sometimes you'll go, I only want to solve one. Like I want to be known as the, John Palmieri is a great example. I don't know if you know John or not, but he's a great example of he loves the culture aspect. John will do culture workshops until the day he dies. He'll do some financial fitness and stuff, but he loves the culture piece. So that's why this is the three to 5 top that you solve. You might say, hey, listen, I'm going to handle the profit problem. I'm going to handle the cash flow problem. Some people handle just recruitment. So this is now refining the list for you to say, okay, these are the core problems that my clients are having. These are the ones that I'm going to focus on. And that's in essence what this next list is. Now it's got to be one of the core problems. It can't just be some,
Right.
random things. So now we're looking at the cash flow problem. And now, how do I help them solve it? One could be a course. It could be a recorded course where you just go through materials and talk them through it. And that could be an offering all on its own. And to your point, there are a lot of people out there that just want to watch it. So I was on with somebody yesterday, and she said that nobody buys courses. And I was like, wait a minute, I buy them all the time. And there are some people that I'll even go to their live events. For the most part, I watch their first initial small online course. Some people, I just buy their checklists. So what one of the challenges that with pretty much every coach that I've worked with so far, straight out of the gate, has been when we get to their offering, they don't really have a clear picture of like a client journey, which that's what this page is all about. This is about giving you the opportunity to take a look at your core problems and go like, if it is cash flow, can this be handled with an online course so I don't have to take people through a 15-week coaching program? Can I then have a next level offering, which would give them a little more access? Maybe they get the coaching program, they get the online course, and then they get 4 weeks of coaching with me. And then there's the people that want a lot of access to me. It's a higher price point. They get the online course, they get the basic coaching program, and they become a part of something with closer access to me. Maybe they get a live event they come to you whole salon one time a year and you walk them through your systems and processes there. Like, what I'm helping people do is create a product journey so that you don't just get stuck with one-on-one coaching. And when I say stuck, it doesn't mean we don't like it. It's just that there are other ways to help people with these things. It could just be, hey, we sell all of our operational checklists for $49. It took me 10 years to develop those. Then it could be a course online of us walking. A course where I walk you through them. So one is $49. You get the checklists. You can take them. You're a motivated person. You're going to handle it. Somebody else needs a little more guidance. They want to see how to use that front desk, opening checklist or whatever it is. And then some people may need more than that, and they want the coaching. And that gives you a client journey to create based on the core problems that you want to solve. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, what I've done so far, first of all, it would be difficult for me to identify exactly what I am looking to solve, primarily, only because I haven't done it long enough. And so I'm not sure what what I'm best at or what I enjoy the most.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So right now, it's, I don't know exactly. That's number one. Number two, the three things that I've created, I've 2 levels of monthly coaching, and one is a total group call. So you're going to get a monthly group call, and then you're going to have access to I'm calling them workshops. Do you think workshops and your course, like, is a workshop a course and vice versa?
That's semantics in my mind. As long as they understand and you can discern the difference between the three, or as long as you can, create a discernible difference in the mind's eye of your client of what these things are. There's a lot of buzz terms now, masterminds, advisory groups, all these things. Whatever you call it, as long as I know the difference between this one, you know, you don't get me, you get the materials. This one you get me, and this is the highest level. So as long as you can identify that small, medium, and large,
Right.
I don't think it matters what you
Well,
call
so I guess it starts with the workshop,
it.
and I'll round up the pricing. So
Yeah.
for $150 per,
Yeah.
you can attend a workshop,
Okay.
and I'm going to have 2 or 3 or 4 of those a month. Who knows how it's going to turn out.
Okay.
So like the one that I had on Monday, I charge $149. It's $150. It's a 90-minute workshop. It's essentially 60 to 70 minutes, and then we have time for questions and answers, right?
Okay.
So you can attend that and get whatever materials that I'm presenting with that.
Okay. That's level one.
And then number 2, I'm calling it the accelerator. Like this is the monthly commitment, and I'm asking them for a year-long commitment, but there are no contracts. If it's not working,
Yeah.
I don't want them to stay. So it's I'm asking for an annual commitment of $400 a month. It's and they're going to have access to the group call, which will be at least a 90-minute call plus all the workshops for free.
Plus all the 150 workshops for free. Okay.
Yeah, and there might be somewhere between 1 and 4 a month.
Okay.
And then for I named it the boardroom. Do you think that's cheesy?
No, it's cool.
I just like having something that elevates a salon owner. So many of them just think that
I'm a shop
I'm
owner.
just a little shop owner somewhere in the Midwest. Like no, let's step it up. I had a discovery call last night with a woman in Chicago. She has a 4-chair salon, but she's in downtown Chicago. Like this could be incredible. I love Chicago, and it's elevating itself, on the quote luxury scale. They've always been like the step brother to New York. And I said, if what you want to do is elevate and become more luxury, she's like, I want to be more luxury. And I have an opportunity to take the space next door, and I can have a 10-chair salon, and that gets my blood excited. Like let's do it.
And so we're calling that the boardroom.
So the boardroom is a one-on-one, and what I don't have a strong definition for that, but it's everything that I just mentioned plus your private time with me, because
Okay,
and I'm just calling it full access. So you just have full access to me and the workshops and the materials and the whatever it is that you need, plus your private time, and that's $1,000 a month, $997.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
I haven't officially launched those 2 monthly offerings yet. I'm only doing workshops. My plan is, January is going to be my push for that.
So I'll make a suggestion.
Yes.
My suggestion would be on your 150s to identify how many times per month it is. So one of the things that I've learned about working with people out there is we're all busy, and having those calendared. And I'm gonna say something that might sound like I'm stereotyping here, but women seem to be much more appreciative of that calendar than we tend to be.
Yeah.
And I, at Salon 124, it was so funny. I went into there, and I was used to managing the education teams as a corporate person. Then I went into Salon 124, and there's 4 guys in that company, and I was one of them. The rest were busy moms, hairdressers, and
Yeah.
I'd start to put these educational things, pop-ups and things on the calendar. I got sat down real quick, and they said, listen, we're busy. We need our calendar. We need to know it well in advance. So that's a suggestion. And that boy, that was some of the best advice that I was ever given.
Well, I totally get it, because I am calendarized, man. I am.
Yeah.
if I showed you my calendar right now, you know, it's overwhelming because I have every minute of the day scheduled, even my
Yeah.
free time, even
Yep.
like I know exactly. I'm meeting a friend for happy hour this afternoon. I know exactly when I need to leave. I put in my
Yeah.
drive time so that I make it there on time. And yeah, we're
So
gonna. So I totally get that, and I'm with those women, right?
yeah.
The
Yeah.
reason that I was vague about the workshops is because I'm still creating them.
Yeah.
And in my mind, what I want is one a week. Like I want to do it one a week. I like that's a, and it's going to be so easy when I've got all of my material, you know, created and done, and I know, and I just keep tweaking it all the time.
Hmm.
But once I know, I've kind of got a schedule going. I'm looking at it, and I'm going through what I think is the most important thing. Um, to know about running a salon successfully. But then I think, you know, I'm launching in January. That's in my mind, that's when I'm going to have the fewest people because I'm going to be brand new. Like
Hmm.
maybe it needs to be the exact opposite. Maybe it's the least important in January. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but
And so that I have,
remember a launch is a launch. So
yeah,
treat it as if it was, just as important as you know, whatever, our favorite
yeah.
national
Because if I
holiday
only
is.
have, yeah,
Yeah.
if I only have my, you know, 4 people to sign up, I'll be
Yeah.
happy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's a suggestion, not a you do whatever you want. But I've also learned as a facilitator that at the end, being on these 52 times a week or a year could be taxing on you, regardless of how easy it is. And so anyway, that's a suggestion. I was in a group with a group of guys that they were on 3 times a week. Now, each of them took one of the calls, but I'm going to promise you, 12 weeks into that thing, and they've been very successful. Uh, I'd be on a call. It'd be 7 p.m. at night, and I could see how tired the person was that was leading. Like it was visible. Like that he's tired right now, and still great information. They did a great job, but I was like, man, they should just they should just do this twice a month. Once a week is a lot. So anyway, that's between take it with a grain of salt. Um, the cool, yeah, I like it. The accelerator group and then full access. So that all your, we'll talk a little more about those as we go down. Here's the food for thought for talking points for you. Does my offering solve the problem? Teach them how to solve the problem. Help them to achieve an important goal or get better at a skill, and then what are you going to save them in the process? Time, money, energy. So when you're doing your launch, think about, obviously you're gonna be leveling up their skills as a business owner and leader. You're not going to be solving the problem for them. You're going to be teaching them how to solve the problem. Um, and in the process, in the you know in you're going to be saving them a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy because they're going to be able to lean into your 10 years of expertise, multiple locations, 60 plus employees. So make sure you're positioning that as the backbone. Like you could conceptually accelerate their leadership skills by 10 years in one phone call with you. I mean, not maybe that's a stretch, but in just a few um, in a short window of time, they're going to be adding decades of leadership experience and systems that would take them years to develop. So always think about the time, money, and energy as a tangible piece of what you're helping them to get.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that. And you know, before I forget, the when you were talking about leadership and culture, and the guy that wants to teach culture, I feel that is integrated in every single thing that we talk about because there's going to be no retention or cash flow or profit, or there's none of that is going to happen without upping your game when it comes to culture and leadership. It just has to be.
mhm. I want to say this for the benefit of like, um, for this discussion here. So transferring things from this page to this page, again, you're going to decide what it is. Now, you just said out loud, wow, without that culture and leadership piece, every business is going to suffer, right? Now we know that's a measurable core problem, and that might find its way even above profit, right? That
Right.
it might. I mean, I don't know. Now, for some
No,
people, the fire,
I think it does. It does for
right?
sure.
Right. And so that's, you want to organize this in a priority, because you might go, you know what? It is just, and that's what happened with Brian Purdue when we were putting together 1, 2, 4 Go, and he would only talk about leadership. And it's like, well, here's a guy that owns, a $12 million business. He must know something that the rest of these owners don't know. And he's like, look, this is a leadership problem. This is, and then systems came right underneath it. And then um, it wasn't like cash flow was less important. If your ass is on fire, it's the most important thing, right? But it was like, no, no, no. Before you can even talk about money, we've got to talk about these other things. And so um, I want to just for a second, I'm going to take career pathing or recruiting as an example. Um, this could conceptually be something. So these higher level problems like leadership, they may need more access to you.
Right.
Now, I'm not a fan of him, but John Maxwell has a ton of leadership content that's all on video as well. When I say I'm not a fan of his, what I mean is like that's not the Kool-Aid that I have drank. But regardless, leadership can be done with course material and things like that. But recruiting can easily be done with a syllabus, with this is how we recruit, 5 times a month, we whatever. And maybe I'm oversimplifying, but when I'm talking with people, I'm always helping them to decide as best I can um, which of these things gets more access to you. So this full access boardroom, um, maybe recruiting is one of the topics. But if you're just coming to me for recruiting and our recruiting strategies, you could put together a beautiful PDF again and sell that. Um, and be just fine. Or your standard operating procedures. Same deal. Like, hey, you want to know how to create a salon handbook? We sell ours for $3.99. You can buy it. It's 10 years worth of work. So that's why we go through this activity. And we do it in, over a longer period of time in much more detail. But we go through it to create, hey, is there value here in solving this problem? Number one, there may or may not be. Um, I mean, it is obviously for recruiting, but like we might come upon problems like, no, we're not gonna we're not gonna talk about who's folding the towels in the back room. That's not a worthwhile problem for us to solve here. We're going to solve the leadership problem, but not every problem needs full access to you, and that's where you could take a look in your business and go, hey, what are 25 things that we have that people need and want that I'm not going to teach them how to create, but I can give them what we've created in an editable way. And so this could be a PDF, and I'm just making this
Love it.
up. Take, you know, uh, that's the process. Okay. Finally, it's core questions, and this helps people. This is for on video, but this is also for conversationally. um, Once you identify the core problems that your target client's facing and you're clear on how you solve it, that's a big part of consulting, is being real clear on how you help people solve their problem. Then you can begin planning your content message. And so this would be for next year, like the talking points that you do want to get yourself captured talking about um, on camera. We create 4 lists of questions that you want to become known as the authority in. So it's a big part of the process of growing, any consulting business. Is obviously, when I think of you, what do I think of? Um, Besides a rabbi, I mean, you can be a rabbi too, but so We do this by creating 4 lists. These are the questions will be the foundations of the topics of your video content, power quotes, social media carousels, newsletter topics, and more. Anything that you write and create should start to revolve around the core questions that people are coming to you for based on your topics. And then when considering these questions, we ask ourselves, what do my clients want and need to learn to achieve success? So what do they want to learn from me, and what do they need to learn from me? What obstacles are holding them back, and what are they struggling with? So the more you can talk about the struggles that they have directly, through stories, examples, testimonials, real life scenarios, the more I'm going to, oh, Tim's the profit guy. I loved that, for like, Tim's the profit solution guy, or Tim's the leadership solution guy, or, he helps us with recruitment. The more times I hear you answer those questions, the more I'm going to want to be with you. So when we're planning and creating content for people, we go through this list of what are the most frequently asked questions that people that are new to you would be asking, or new to this leadership role, or newer salon owner. And then we create a list of what should they be asking. So a good example would be, how do I get people motivated at work? And a better question might be, how do I create a culture and a career path so that people can be motivated to want to stay for a long period of time and become a career here. So
what does SAQ stand for?
SAQ is should ask questions.
Oh, okay.
These are questions you should be asking versus questions you are asking. And I always use the example of a dietitian or a weight loss specialist, where a beginner, who needs to lose 100 pounds might ask, you mean I'm not going to be able to eat chocolate cake anymore? And it's like, a better question would be, what are the top, most healthy people on the planet eating every day? And how are they enjoying this? And how are they creating this vibrant lifestyle? So we try to not divert, we try to reframe frequently asked questions into what they should be asking. And I've got a list of 15 here, but we go pretty deep on that. Sometimes we'll create 60 questions or more. Then we'll do the same exact thing with intermediate. So somebody now that's been on the diet plan for 6 or 8 months, they're starting to experience some of the benefits of leadership and what that looks like. Then there's the, what are they asking now? They're not asking about the towels anymore. They're asking about, how do I coach my team better? How do I have that one-on-one in a hard conversation? How do I create systems of accountability? So they're starting to speak a different language. And so we go through the same process. What are these people that are getting better at leadership? Because once I've given them the beginner journey, I now want to create something to keep them coming back. Jay said something that really appalled me one day, and I'm saying this because he'll find what I just said funny. He said, Chris, sometimes the shine just wears off. And I was like, it won't wear off if we produce a next level of answers for them. Like, if the shine's wearing off in a consultant, it's because you haven't figured out what those next level problems are, or given them another place to go. So after, and maybe right, you've got your 150, you've got your 400, your accelerator, and now you've got your boardroom. Well, after people are in the boardroom for a year, if, the only thing I have to offer them is that, then we'll keep people for about a 1 year window of time. Which, that's okay. There's a client cycle, but, we want to start to think ahead as to what's the next thing we can create. And Jay has jumped on board with that, by the way. But I was like, oh, how dare you say that? The shine wears off. You've got way too much to offer, and which is I think that to be true of Jay. I think he's amazing. So, so that's just an activity for you to do, to start to think about what are the most common questions, and then start to answer those questions in public a lot. And then the final thing is creating a core offering. And so I'm going to read through this, and I know we've been on for an hour, so I don't want to take much more of your time. One of the hardest things for many coaches to do is articulate their core offerings. This feels like it should be simple, but there are many ways to get this wrong. So a core offering in the client's mind's eye should offer a meaningful result for them. I call it transformation, not information, right? Second, be easy for them to understand, speak about, and purchase. Three, it's not just designed for anybody. It's designed for a very specific market. And then four, it's designed to repel somebody who's not the target market. So I should very clearly be able to know that your offering at this point is for salon owners of this size and type that are struggling with these specific core problems, and anything outside of that, I shouldn't be interested in your offering. Um, and the reason is because the more people outside of your offering that are interested, the less really good clients you're going to get. You know, you talked about the some of them just wanted you to send them the recording, others wanted to participate. Well, if you're talking about a boardroom client, they should know this is full participation. So like if that's not for you, this offering is not for you. You might just want
Right.
for $45 a month, you just might want the recordings of the calls. You know, so there's that. Um, so um, from acquisition.com, this is a guy named Alex Hermosi. You've probably heard of him. I feel like everybody has.
Yeah.
He says, does your offering achieve your client's dream outcome? Is there a perceived likelihood of achievement? Meaning, do they believe it will work? Does it lower the time delay that they would already have in achieving their goal? And does it lower the effort and sacrifice that it takes to achieve their goal? So we always want to be speaking to how close it gets us to our dream outcome, which is to be a profitable salon owner that has a great culture, and how sure we are that we can get them there, and then how much of the effort and sacrifice we're going to take off of their hands. So there's a thing called a value statement, and it goes something like this: I help blank to achieve blank in how much time without sacrificing whatever it is they're sacrificing. So mine for Elevate, the one seminar that we're doing in January, says we help coaches, consultants, and public speakers to create months of high quality on brand content in just 2 days without the hassle of shooting and editing by themselves. It speaks real specific to who it's for, how long it's going to take, and what hassle I'm going to wipe off of their plate. And so they're literally just going to show up, do content, and go home. And that's their commitment. And we do the rest. And so when we can position our offering in a way that lets the person know you're the perfect person for it, this is what we'll achieve, this is how long it's going to take us to do, and this is the pain I'm going to save you. Now we have a conversation that people can digest, understand, um, and discern us from a different offering. So that's in essence the entire kind of um, thing that I wanted to walk you through just based on our conversation the other
I
day.
love it. What when you're talking about this sorry, this group meeting for 2 days, you're videoing them?
Yeah. So they're going to come into Sarasota. Where we've rented a conference room at the Aloft Hotel, and I'm working with a guy who was a cameraman on. I say cameraman. Let me take that back. He's an award-winning cinematographer director who moved here from New York City. He worked on Saturday Night Live for 7 seasons, which is a very hard job to get. Not just anybody runs cameras on SNL. And he, not to tell his story, probably just got tired of he just was tired of the not,
Yeah.
100-hour weeks, and he moved back home to Sarasota. And, I was looking for somebody that had a higher level of cinematography than I do, because, I was a guy that learned to pick the camera up. I know what my skills are. They're about coaching people and helping people to pull their own messaging out. I was an education director at 2 different companies. And, so together we're creating a set with 6 different setups throughout the weekend. And we'll do a multiple interview process based on the core questions that we create. And then you'll leave with basically multiple months of content. We put together a package of about 50 individual pieces of content first. That includes photo and video. And then from there, you have this entire bank of all of the raw footage that was done. So we'll do content packages based on how much more people want out of there. And so, yeah, that's what we're
But how do you
doing.
get all that filmed with a bunch of people at the same time?
Yeah, we're going to have 3 different cameras, 3 different sets running at each time.
Wow.
We'll have small group rotations. And so you'll either be rehearsing, you'll be on camera, you'll be shooting B-roll, or you'll be shooting photography, and then reviewing, doing wardrobe changes throughout the entire weekend. So we rented a conference room, we rented the entire space at Aloft, and then we rented an executive suite as well. So we'll have 1 crew in executive suite. We can position 3 different sets there. We'll have 2 main sets in the conference room. We'll have an outdoor set going at the same time, and we'll have B-roll and photography running the whole time.
I love this. Yeah. Chris, I love how much thought you put in this. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. I mean, it was a long time coming, and dude, I knew I couldn't go back and do hair anymore. Like I just, I came out of, I went in the corporate world, which is a big regret of mine. I wish I would have stayed a salon owner is what I should have done. But I had a weak point. I got sucked into corporate, and I fell out of love with the industry that I loved. And so I struggled for a few years trying to figure this out, man. And finally I was like, oh yeah, this has been a long time coming. And, we wouldn't be able to pull this off without Scott, and my other partner, Giovanni Giuntoli, who is a hair educator, on camera personality for Redken for years. He was the face of their brand for a long time on YouTube and different things like that. So those 2 were the catalyst to be able to get me to want to, be able to do this. Usually I just work one-on-one. Yeah. So
I love it.
Anyway, yeah, take that worksheet on. I'd love to hear your feedback, and it's I wish you were available that weekend, but maybe we'll, figure something else out at some other time.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
For sure. Okay.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Please tell Michael Carpenter I said hello.
I will. All right. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
All right. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
See ya.